Good afternoon. Hello. Happy Thursday and welcome to the final installment of Emily's Essentials. This has been my 3-day live stream series of the 3 essential sales and marketing strategies that have led me to go full-time in my photography business, brand photography specifically. As always, let me know if you can hear me. I am live everywhere. Great. So today, this is like a brand photographer specific training. I mean, it's really going to apply to all photographers, but all of the examples that I provide are going to be about brand photography. So if you're a brand photographer or you're interested in getting into brand photography, welcome. I'm just checking the comments. Okay, yeah, let me know if you can hear me. And essentially what we are talking about today is not just how to get into brand photography, but how to become a high ticket, high volume brand photographer. What do I mean by that? By high ticket, I mean your minimum package minimum is at least $1,500. The details of that don't matter, but at least $1,500 for a session for a new client to come in. And high volume is, well, that kind of depends on how you define it. For me, that's shooting anywhere between 2 and 4 times a week. I'm not saying like every week, 4 weeks, every week, 4 shoots a week. I have done that. It is not entirely sustainable, but we are going to get into that. So that's what we're talking about today. As we go through it, if you have any questions, let me know. Please ignore this like one piece of hair that's sticking out. I don't really know what's going on or how to fix it, but we are going to get going today. So if you want to be a high ticket and high volume photographer, what you need are systems. And I know that's like a very nebulous term. Everybody says you need systems, Emily. What does that actually mean? Okay. What I mean by having a system is you have removed every point of friction and every decision point that you have that stops you from getting to the next step. So some examples of that are, what happens if a client asks for hair and makeup? What happens if a client wants to rent a studio? What happens when a client wants to add XYZ to their package? If that stops you from more than like 30 minutes to an hour, then we need to talk about that, okay? That's what I mean by system. You have like essentially a step-by-step checklist of if this happens, how do I make this decision and like which direction do I go in? Let me know if that is making sense. So hold on, I'm sorry, I'm just checking all of the places. Hello. Yeah, let me know if you can hear me. My volume appears to be working. Okay. So if you are doing personal brand photography, this is specifically what I'm talking about. Some of what I'm saying is not going to apply to like big product shoots, but for personal brand photography. So if you're working with coaches, if you're working with other creatives, if you're working with lawyers, small local businesses, chiropractors, dentists, doctors' offices, med spas, boutiques, et cetera, that is what I'm talking about today. So now I gave some examples of situations that I see happen with brand photographers where they're like, help, Emily, like this thing happened, what do I do? And that's fine. These questions can come up, but the more that you systematize it, the less you will have to ask these questions and sit and stew, because when you sit and stew in all of these different decision points, you're losing time and you're probably losing money. So I see online also a lot of chatter about how it's not the responsibility of the photographer to do anything except lighting, posing, taking the photo, and then delivering the photos. Sure, let's go with that. However, if you want to be high volume, high ticket, and close more sales, you need to do more than that, okay? You do have to be the creative director. You have to be the producer also. You've got to take on a little bit more responsibility if you want to be high ticket, high volume. So I just want to address that. If the attitude that you're, if you have this kind of attitude of like, well, I only want to be taking pictures, I don't want to have to manage booking the studio or doing anything else that my clients ask for other than photography, this isn't going to work, this whole process. Sometimes when I talk about this stuff, I will see in chatter when I'm like doing a live like this or when I'm doing a webinar, people will say, well, that seems like a lot of work. Yeah, like that's kind of the point. But what I'm saying here is when you have the systems in place, it eliminates all of the decisions. So it doesn't become work. It's just easy. It's just another day in the office, another day in the life of a photographer. It doesn't have to be hard. You can make this easier on yourself. So that's what we're talking about today. What are the systems that you can set up to make this easier for yourself? So the 4 systems that you need to remove all of these extra decision points. You need to remove all of the decision fatigue in your marketing. You need to remove all of the decision fatigue in your sales. You need to remove all of the decision fatigue in your pricing. That's a big one. You cannot be custom quoting every single project that comes in. And you need to remove all of the decision fatigue in your delivery, in the client experience, the process of how you fulfill photo shoots when a new client comes in. It doesn't matter what industry they're in. You are still going to follow the same step-by-step process to get the end result, to get the end gallery for them. Okay, so we are going to start first with marketing. Now, we already talked a lot about this throughout the last 2 days of Emily's Essentials, this live stream series on yesterday. If you didn't check out that live, go watch the replay. It's on YouTube, it's on Instagram, it's in all the places. Yesterday, we talked a lot about long-term marketing, search engine optimization. We dive a lot deeper into that. But when it comes to your marketing system, you need to know exactly what you're doing next. What's your short-term marketing strategy? What is your long-term marketing strategy? And what is your relationship-based marketing strategy? So it's like we talked about yesterday. If you think about your marketing as a Ferris wheel. Ferris wheel is slow. It's like a relaxing ride. You could stay on it forever if you want to. Obviously, it's not going to work, but you could stay on it forever and not ever really get tired of it. That's what your marketing should feel like. I don't want it to feel like you are like pushing, trying so hard to get no results. It needs to have the same experience as a Ferris wheel. So when you remove all of the decision making of, what am I going to do this week for my marketing? Things just go better, okay? You need to know the exact next step. That's what I mean by having a system. What are your next steps? Sure, you have to sit down maybe once a quarter and plan out what are the main things that I'm going to do. But it shouldn't be an everyday scramble or a monthly scramble of where's my next client coming in? What do I have to do? Let me know if that's making sense. I won't go all into each of the strategies because, again, we talked a lot about long-term yesterday. But you need to have those 3 pieces: short-term, long-term, relationship-based. And it is just constantly going. It's a wheel. It's constantly spinning. That's how you remove the decision fatigue of marketing. Next up, we have sales, selling. Now, what's the difference between marketing and sales? So marketing is everything that happens up until a potential client inquires with you. That's marketing, lead generation, whatever you want to call it. Sales is after they have inquired with you, how do you close them? How do you have them go from inquiry to signed contract and paid invoice? That whole process is sales. We also talked a lot about this on Tuesday's live stream, which is how can you turn more leads into inquiries this year? That is my whole follow-up process, step by step. At any point in time after somebody has inquired with you, if you haven't heard back from them, what do you say and when do you say it? That's your sales system, okay? You can't think about, oh, well, this person reached out to me a week ago, but I haven't heard from them. What should I do now? Having a sales system is having the answer to that and knowing exactly what to say, which we covered in Tuesday's live stream, my client communication email templates. That's like the whole process. So that's part of it. It's the follow-up. But then the major part of sales, especially for brand photography, is the sales call itself and then how you present your packages. Okay, this I do want to dive a little bit deeper into. I see a lot of photographers losing out on money because you are making your client make too many decisions during the sales process. So what I'm talking about is if you have 3, 5 more packages available, let's say you have like a low, middle, high, that's a lot for the client to take in, especially if you're presenting it all at once. Because now, not only do they have to decide, am I going to hire Emily as a photographer, yes or no? Now they have to decide, okay, if I'm going to hire Emily as a photographer, which package do I go with? Do I go with the lowest one? That's a good price point, but like how many images does it have? What about this middle one? Well, it looks like it's longer. Are these photos going to last me longer? Like it is a little bit more expensive. Do I really need all of this? Do you see how this is just going to like spiral out of control? The same way that we spiral a little bit when we're like, I don't know what to give to this client. I don't know what to say to this client after they said this. You want to remove as much of that spiraling and as much of that questioning from the client as possible. And the way you do that is you present one package. Okay, how do you present only one package? The sales call. This is what the sales call is for. So not only are you getting to know them a little bit more as a person, you're getting to know their needs so that you can place them in one of your packages. A key distinction I like to make here is you don't have to eliminate all of the other packages you offer. But when you present something to a client, you are presenting them with just one option. Because when you present them with just one option, that is only one decision that I have to make, or that they have to make. Do they want this package? Yes or no? It becomes so much easier. And this is where you're developing those sales skills, is what questions do you ask and what do you need to know in order to place them in one of your packages. So this is what I mean by a sales system. When I go through a sales call with a personal branding client, I know of my 3 main packages, which one are they going to fit into. Also, if you look at my website, I don't even have all of these available on my website. I have 2, but really just the first one is what people look at. People don't usually scroll down past it. I have a hidden package that is smaller. It's like a smaller, less expensive package. My main package is $4,000. That's what I direct most of my clients to. But I have something that is smaller in scope if I get on the sales call and I realize, you actually don't need all of the bells and whistles that are in this larger package. So that's the point of the sales call. That's the point of having a sales system, is being able to ask the right questions so you know, okay, based on everything you've told me, I think this is going to be the best package for you. Sorry, remove the I think. Based on everything you've told me, this is going to be the best package for you. And then list off what is all included. You give your price and then you don't say anything. That is how having a sales system works. And now I know what you're going to say next, because I get this a lot. People will say, but Emily, like, I don't want them. Like, what happens if the one package I provide, let's say it's $4,000, is too much for them? I don't want them to go to somebody cheaper when I have a cheaper option available. Okay, but this is the point of having the sales system. When you are good at sales and you are good at placing people in exactly the right service that is right for them, you are doing them a service. I can give you a couple of examples of this. So I had a client once who came to me. She was just opening a new, it's not Pilates, we're going to say Pilates because it's similar. She's opening a new Pilates studio. She knew she needed photos. My main package, again, my $4,000 package, it includes photo and video. But as I was talking to her, I was like, I actually don't think you need video based on where you are right now. She really didn't. Like, your job is not to sell them into the highest package. Your job is to sell them into the right package. So when I told her this, I was like, most of my clients, they come and they book the main package that I have on my website. You may have seen it. It has photo and video. But because of what we've talked about, I think you need an only photo-only package. Here it is. It's $3,000. And you know what she said to me? She said, yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense for me. Thank you for not upselling me into something that I don't need. I really appreciate it. Like, how do I book it? Magic. So that's the point of the sales call. They're not going to run off to somebody cheaper if you are doing the sales correctly. Does that make sense? So when I say you need a sales system, you need an ironclad process that will get people, or that will help you reveal what it is they actually need. That's the whole point of sales. It is not to try and close every sale that gives off desperate energy. We don't want that. We are just trying to place them in the right package that you have available. So stop presenting 1,000,001 options. Give them one. Then if they say, I don't know if this makes sense for me, or I don't know if this is in my budget, then adjust. You can also upsell them from there, because I've had people go the other way as well. I had, who was the last person? The last person that booked this, she was talking to me, and I always go in thinking they're going to book my main package, just because that's the majority of people that go into the main $4,000 3 to 4 hour shoot. But this client comes in and she's like, Emily, I am ready to go. I've been in this industry for so many years. She was technically new to a business owner, but she'd been in the industry. She was just going out on her own. She's like, I'm ready to go all in. And so we were talking. And I was like, you know what? Most of my people book like the 3 hour package. It includes photo and B-roll video, but I actually think you need a video of you talking, like a scripted video. And she said, you know what, Emily, you are so right. I'm all in. Let's do it. It works both ways, upsell and downsell. So you go in with your core offer, your main package, and then place them. That's what having a sales system is like. You don't necessarily need a sales call script, but you need to know like which directions are you going in, what questions are you asking, etc. Remember, when you are good at sales, you're still providing a service. And sometimes that might mean people aren't the right fit for you. That's okay. That's part of the job. So that's the first two. Marketing system. What is your next step in how to get a new lead? And your sales system, what are your steps, step-by-step process for turning a lead into a client? Your next system is pricing, and I know this one gets people. You cannot be custom quoting every single project as a personal brand photographer. If you are a product photographer, throw this out the window. Like, this doesn't apply to you. This is for like portrait photography, personal brand photography, because it's a repeatable process, right? Do you see how we're building a system here? Because you're doing the same things over and over again, it's pretty easy to price it once you have the system in place. So you cannot go to the drawing board every single time you get an inquiry. It's going to take too much time for you to put together a proposal. And then you're going to subconsciously, not even subconsciously, it's like pretty obviously be not as confident when you're on a sales call, when somebody asks, how much does this cost? Because you're like, well, I have to go back to the drawing board. No. We're going to eliminate that. You need to know exactly how much each of your packages cost. And then you need to be able to quickly place people in the package that is right for them. And again, if we're not presenting so many options, this reduces your decision fatigue by so much. Because did you just see me rattle it off? My main core package, my core offer, it's $4,000. I have one that's a little bit higher, one that's a little bit lower. And then based on what the client needs on the sales call, I will place them in the package. Occasionally, yes, I will have to custom quote people. But because I know what is my effective hourly rate, meaning for every hour that I am on set shooting, how much money do I want to make per hour? I know for me that's roughly $1,000. For every hour that I am on set, I want to be making roughly $1,000. So that makes it pretty easy for me to put it in the ballpark of how much do I think a shoot is going to cost roughly in the event that I do have to custom quote it. But like 99% of my clients fall into one of my 3 packages because I have systems for doing all of this. Okay, I'm going to take a quick pause here for questions. I'm not seeing anything in the chat. So if, I'm going to refresh this just in case. It did say my technology was lagging. Okay. Oh, did I mess up YouTube? No, it's fine. So we just talked about your marketing system. We talked about your sales system. We talked about your pricing system. Now, the last thing is client delivery, fulfillment, basically the client experience, step by step, what happens. Now, I know with creatives especially, and with photographers, we feel like, well, every client is special. This is true. And we feel like we have to do something different for every client because that's how we're providing value. This is false. You can have a repeatable, streamlined process for every client. And if you want to be a high ticket, high volume brand photographer, you have to have a repeatable system for every single client. What I mean by repeatable system is as soon as a client books with you, what happens? What emails do they get? What onboarding do they get? Like, what happens? Then when do you talk to them next? You essentially need to be answering their questions before they have the chance to ask. Because I have had experiences where I have booked service providers. I pay money, however, hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars. And then I'm just like, okay, I'm not hearing from this person. Like, hello, what do I do next? Right? You want them to be taken care of. So at every point in the process, you need to know exactly where they are and exactly what happens next based on where they are. Every single one of your personal brand photography clients can and should go through the same step-by-step process. The results that they get are obviously going to be different because every client is different. They're all in different industries. They have different personalities. But at the core, you are repeating the same steps over and over again. That doesn't mean you cannot customize it to the client. I have a client meeting literally right after this where I customized his questionnaire because of where he is in his business/personal brand. He's a personal brand, literally. He works a corporate job. He doesn't run a business. So I took out some questions that are like specific to business owners because I don't want him to get confused, but it's still the same process, right? He still has a questionnaire that he has to fill out. I just changed up some questions that are more suited for his shoot and what he's doing. He's still going through the same client process that all of my other clients go through. I'm just customizing it. So when you are removing the decision fatigue of, well, what happens if a client doesn't have a business? What happens if a client wants to bring on a team? What happens if a client wants to rent a studio? Have step-by-step processes for all of these so that you're removing the decision fatigue of, well, what do I do now? Okay, it's honestly the only way you are going to be able to take on volume 3, 4, 5 clients a week is if you have a repeatable process. If every client is different and you're doing something different for every client, you are spending so much overhead and so much time that you're just wasting time. It's really not helpful. I'm going to give you an example. When I first started doing brand photography, I was tracking my time. It took me roughly 20 hours per client from booking all the way to gallery delivery. So that includes editing, driving, shoot time, client communication, all of the steps. It was 20 hours. I've tracked my time since then for the same package. That included time on set. For the same package, I am now down to 10, sometimes less, 8 to 10 hours per client because I have this repeatable process. It's going to take time for you to hone it in and to figure out what do you like how do I tweak this for me and for the clients that I like to work with. But you want to get that number down to be as low as possible. The number being how much time do you spend per client? As low as possible, but still delivering a very high caliber quality of work. I want you to detach how many hours you spend working on a client from the value. Because if they are still receiving the same result, it doesn't matter how much time you spend per client. They don't need to know. It doesn't matter as long as they are having a high touch experience. Who cares if you are spending 5 or 10 hours on work that they are not going to see? Exciting. Very exciting. It's the only way you're going to be able to take on high volume. If I was still spending 20 hours per client, I would either need to drastically raise my prices or I wouldn't be able to take on as many clients. Okay, example of 2 branding clients that were completely different, but were, oh yes, the process and the offer stayed the same. Yeah, Pilates studio, personal brand, he works a corporate job, he's like a VP at a company or something. I haven't, I don't want to provide so much identification. I've worked with auto shops, I've worked with all the ones I said earlier, med spas, chiropractors, financial coaches, other photographers, super duper creative people. And I've worked with very corporate people, and every single client follows the same process. You can customize it, but what I don't want you to do is go back to the drawing board and build out a whole new process just because a boutique inquired with you and you've never had a boutique or you've never worked with a boutique before. Boutique? Boutique. I actually don't know how to say that word. Okay, I'm going to pause here for questions. So this is what I mean when I say if you want to be a high volume, high ticket brand photography, these are the 4 main areas where you need to systematize what you are doing. I'm just making sure I covered all the points that I wanted to talk about today. So we talked about marketing, sales, pricing, and delivery. All of these need to be systematized. Now, I cover all of these step by step, all of my templates, resources, swipe copy, so copy and paste text that you can use for your clients, like my branding questionnaire, my how I plan every photo shoot, my editing presets, how I run a sales call, my marketing system, everything under the sun that I have just mentioned. It's broken down step by step in my signature course for brand photographers called the Brand Photographer Operating System. So if you're like, Emily, this all sounds great, this is going to take me 10 years to build out myself, don't worry, I got you. The Brand Photographer Operating System, BPOS for short. I just love the acronym. It is part of my Black Friday sale happening November 16th through 20th. Okay. Everything else that we've talked about the last 2 days live. So Tuesday was my client communication email templates. Those are actually included inside of BPOS. Just letting you know. SEO for creatives, which is what we talked about yesterday. That's my main long-term marketing strategy. And today, the Brand Photographer Operating System, which is my whole client experience, step by step. How do you take a personal brand photography client from inquiry all the way to delivery, step by step, all the resources that's included in BPOS, and it is part of my early Black Friday sale. I'm not doing any other sale in the month of November. I don't like having to be on or like thinking about work the week of Thanksgiving. That's why I'm doing it early, November 16th through 20th. If you are on my email list, you will receive a notification when that sale starts. I'm going to drop the link in YouTube. If you're watching on Instagram, DM me your email address and I will personally add you to it. And then on Facebook, the link is already in the comments for you to sign up for the list. So all three of those things are going on sale. And did I cover everything? We did. Very exciting. So we have some time for questions. Do we have any questions about systematizing your brand photography business? About taking on like a high volume of clients? Yeah, when I say I should have screen shared with you, but I didn't set up my screen share for this live. When I say high volume, I mean being able to take on 3 to 5 brand photography shoots a week. It's not necessarily all of the same industries, but when you have these systems in place, you can do it because you know exactly step by step, okay, what am I doing? And you're not having to make all of these huge lifts and having to expend so much mental energy making tiny micro decisions with every single client. That's the whole point of this. That's how you're going to be able to handle the volume and be able to take in all the inquiries, be able to do all the sales calls because you know step by step what's going to happen. And the more you do it, the faster you're going to get and the better you're going to get. Okay. Any questions? 3 to 5 a week. Yeah, listen, it's possible. It's definitely doable. I am a lot less high volume now. I have raised my prices. But what was I talking about? I lost my train of thought. Yeah, anyway, 3 to 5 a week. And it also helps. I didn't mention this, but something that I also talk about in BPOS is how can you book multiple shoots at once with the client? So instead of a one-off shoot, can we put them on a 6-month plan and have 3 shoots over the next 6 months? It's actually one of my favorite packages to do, is instead of somebody doing a full day shoot, I will break it up into 3 shoots. It's not cheaper. It's more work, so it's not cheaper. But then I'm getting monthly payments and they're getting more value because they are getting more photos as the 6 months go on. And the photos are better because you're developing the relationship with the client, because you have the opportunity to review the previous set of photos to make the next ones better. They tell you, oh, I really like these. Oh, I don't use these as much. And they get the opportunity to use the photos while they are still working with you. So I am a big fan of that thing. I go over exactly how to price it, exactly how to do it inside of BPOS, part of my Black Friday sale. And then when I say 3 to 5 a week, that also doesn't mean 3 to 5 a week every week of the year forever. Like I take off for vacation, and then there are also some months where I will have larger projects and then I reduce the quantity of other shoots that I have. Some examples, there was one month where I had a really big e-commerce photo shoot for an athletic wear brand. And a lot of my big projects have been for athletic wear brands. We brought on 5 models. We worked with a modeling agency. We had a wardrobe stylist. We had a makeup artist. It was a full day shoot. And that same client, we ended up booking another full day to do on white background. So we did like white background, just the athletic wear, and then we did lifestyle photos. So that month, I didn't do like 3 to 5 a week on top of that because your girl's tired and I didn't need to. In other months, I will work larger conferences. So one of my personal branding clients, she puts on the same event every year and I would shoot that conference, and that is a larger project and costs more. So I don't have to worry so much about doing other smaller projects. And then one of the other really big projects that I've done was with Athleta. That was a full day video shoot. And because it was a full day, I reduced the availability that I had for other shoots. And the way you're able to do this, when you have your marketing system on lock, you know exactly what tasks you're doing, and we're not overthinking, what should I say? How should I say it? Where do I say it? Like, where do I go? When you just have that system rolling, the Ferris wheel is going, you don't have to worry about where your next lead is coming in because you have the system in place, and we trust that it works, and we have the data to back it up that it works. So if you're interested in my long-term strategy, yesterday's live covered that my SEO situation. And then the rest of the marketing strategies that I do, I cover inside of BPOS, and it's all specifically tailored to brand photographers. Okay. Any other questions? Sarah, I know I'm just reading your message again and I misread it the first time. The example that I gave of the 2 different brand clients, but I did the same. Did that answer your question? Because I gave the Pilates client example. I gave the corporate personal brand like VP example. Let me know if you need more clarification on that. Was I actively marketing your services in the beginning, or did it happen organically? I'm always actively marketing my services. We all should always be actively marketing our services. I think a big misconception that people have is marketing is hard. Marketing takes a lot of work. What feels like a lot of work is all of the decision fatigue and all of the micro thoughts of like, should I send an email today? Should I post to Instagram today? Should it be a story? Should it be a reel? Should it be a carousel? Should I go to a networking event? Should I make a blog post? Like, should I do da-da-da-da? That's what makes it feel hard. If you have just like one piece of content, one main idea that you are talking about all month, you can break that down into an email. It can be a social post. It can be a blog post. And the great thing about brand photography is the content is the client work. It's what you're already doing. So you're not necessarily even creating anything new. You are just documenting what you're already doing. So yesterday when we talked about SEO, one of my big things is creating case studies based on your portfolio work. So instead of having a big portfolio page, I don't want you to be doing that. I want you to break it down per client or per industry into a blog post. I'm not going to get into this today because we talked about it yesterday. But you're just documenting what you're already doing and then distributing it and talking about it in different places. I guess my question is, how are they similar, or where is the crossover? Oh, yes. Okay. So let me break down what I mean by the client process, even when you have different clients. I'm going to run with that example of the Pilates studio trainer person versus the client that I'm working with right now, a corporate VP type person. So the corporate VP type person, he doesn't have any he doesn't have a website yet. He doesn't have any assets yet. He's not like actively marketing himself as a personal brand right now. But my Pilates studio was. They already like had clients. That she was just moving into a bigger space. She like had just done her branding. She was updating her new website. So they're at very different places in their journey, but they all still went through a sales call with me. This is where I gathered this information of where they are in their journey. I asked all these questions. They still get the same onboarding guide. The pricing is the same. I think these two clients are in the same package, even though they're so different. And then the onboarding email, this is where it changes. I have like a big onboarding email, which is also in BPOS, the Brand Photographer Operating System, but I take out things that aren't relevant to this client. This client, like when I talked on the call, I was like, okay, actually you don't need hair and makeup. So sometimes even, this is not just a blanket thing. Sometimes I will have a hair and makeup artist on set for men. Sometimes I won't. It really just depends on their personal preference, but I'm not asking them like, do you want hair and makeup? I am making that judgment call. I mentioned it, but I was like, I don't think you need it. And he said, you're right. And I said, okay, great. So that's part where I customize it. Whereas the other client had hair and makeup, but that was already built into my process. So when they get the onboarding email, I'm taking out the stuff that's not relevant to him. It's still the same email. I'm just quickly like, does he need this? No, trash it. They still go through a planning call with me, each of these clients, a photo shoot planning call that happens still around the same time, no matter what they're doing. And they still both fill out a questionnaire. I did customize the questionnaire a little bit for this client that I have today because some of the questions weren't relevant, but it wasn't me adding new stuff. It was me just taking away stuff that wasn't relevant because the tools and the templates that I have are so comprehensive. So they're still doing that. I'm still going to make a mood board for him. I'm still building out a shot list, but the shots are different based on what his answers are in his questionnaire versus what my Pilates studio answered in the questionnaire. We're still going to do the photo shoot. I'm still like, that whole process is still the same, but the types of photos are different. And I'm figuring that out on the planning call. So the crossover is in the assets that I provide, in the step-by-step process, the onboarding emails, the prep emails, the questionnaire, the like shot list that I'm building. Those resources, it's still the core template. Like I'm not making a new template for them, but I am customizing it based on their answers. And all of these are inside of BPOS, which is going on sale next week, November 16th through the 20th. I dropped my URL to sign up for my email list. If you're on my email list, that's where you're going to get notified. Does that make sense? They're still getting all the same stuff. I'm just customizing the shot list because at the end of the day, the shot list is my big guiding factor. And I show you how to build that as well in BPOS. The shot list is obviously very different because Pilates studio versus personal brand, he's getting a lot more lifestyle photos versus the Pilates studio, which was more of like shots of the space, shots of her working with clients and da-da-da-da-da. But it's the same step-by-step process. I didn't have to think, oh, let me make like a new questionnaire. Let me make a brand new template for him. Let me ask him a bunch of like totally different questions. No, I just took out anything that's a business because he doesn't have business. He's a personal brand. But it's still at the core the same process. Okay. Any other questions? I don't have water. I'm getting very thirsty. Any other questions about the like systematizing these 4 areas: pricing, sales, marketing, delivery? Okay, fabulous. Well, this concludes the last day of Emily's Essentials. If you missed days 1 and 2, those replays are up on Instagram, they're on Facebook, they're on YouTube, wherever you're watching. And if you have any questions on those, just leave them in the comments. I've been checking comments and whatnot. And each one of these trainings correlates to one of the 3 products that are going to be going on sale for my early Black Friday sale, November 16th through the 20th. I am not doing another sale of these 3 products later, so don't worry about like, oh, is something better coming along? No, nothing better is coming along. This is what it is. And it is honestly a pretty good deal. I mean, I think everything is a pretty good deal already because, like I said, I've said this every day. If you implement the things that I provide, you're going to see results. Like that's just how it's going to work. But you have to implement the things first. So that's the client communication email templates, which is how I take a lead from a lead to a booking. It's my SEO for Creatives course, which is my long-term marketing strategy, exactly step by step. How do I write a blog post? How do I structure my website such that it converts? That gets left out of a lot of SEO education. And then today, what we talked about was the Brand Photographer Operating System. It is everything, literally everything you need to market, sell, price, and deliver a brand photography gallery. So Great. Yeah, let me know. And let me know if you have questions. I am keeping an eye on the comments even after the fact. Thanks for joining me live. It's always so much more fun when it's not just me sitting around. And I will be emailing out the replay links again tomorrow. And then, like I said, November 16th is the first day of the sale. I'm going to send you an email when it goes live with all the details. It is going to be very easy to see everything that is available, and I will see everyone next time. Bye.